JID just released his newest album called The Forever Story. He led this up with a couple pretty good singles, in my opinion, with Dance Now, 2007, and Surround Sound. And I feel like those all, really worked well. And I think this album is great, could be the album of the year for some people. Maybe not for me, but I definitely think it is a contender. First off, I got to say some things about the whole album. The flow switches and beat switches that are common on this album are so great because it kind of keeps the JID verses fresh while keeping the album in the same subject matter. He also shows his versatility by rapping in a bunch of different flows and styles, and he also sings a little bit to create, a lot of different sounds. And he's also kind of great at setting up the chorus before a verse. Like he says, this is what we scream or whatever, and then the chorus hits. It's pretty cool, and I really like it. Starting off with Galaxy, which is just a little interlude. And I feel like it's a pretty great way to start. There's like a nice little harmony between JID and a woman. I'm not really sure who the woman is. I didn't really look it up, but I thought it was pretty solid. Then we go to Radar. I like the beat and the football sample on this one. I think it was like unsportsmanlike conduct or something. It was pretty cool though, I thought. And then the JID and flow and beat switch kind of work well. And then there's also like the voice changer where he goes in the super deep voice, and just the flow changes, really work for the song while keeping it fresh, throughout the entire song. And then we got Dance Now. And I think the sample and the Kenny Mason chorus really complement JID's voice and just really work well to create a song that sounds unique in every voice. But I just wish they could have used, Kenny Mason a little bit more than they actually did on the song. But I still feel like the song is, very well. Then the next one is Crack Sandwich. And I feel like I like this one a lot. He does a couple first take referencing, I'm pretty sure, Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. Not sure, but I really like the beat. It kind of gives the song a dark and gloomy vibe. And then JID, has, of course, a lot of good lines on this song. And there's like parts of the song that like move around you. So it like moves from your right ear to your left ear. So it kind of sounds like JID's right behind you, like talking to you. And just the flow switches, really work. But I will say the skits, there are a couple skits in the song. There's one in the middle, one at the end. They're a little long because I feel like this song is, 4+ minutes. And I feel like they could have cut down a little bit on the skits, maybe not done 2 skits, maybe just done 1 skit, or just split that skit into 2 different parts. But I still feel like it works in the song, and it just is a little bit too long for the skits. But I mean, it's kind of fun. Next one is Can't Punk Me. I feel like the beat on this one is really interesting because the beat and JID really move at the same speed. I'm not really a big fan of the chorus, but it is, just pretty short. And then the Earth Gang features also work really well. I just had to take a little bit of a break because I know who it was. I don't know the name of the Earth Gang people. But yeah, the Earth Gang feature really works well because both of the, Earth Gang members there, or at least the 2 that are on this song, their flows, sound really good, and they kind of really complement JID because they're, just similar, I guess. Then next up, we got Surround Sound. This was the lead single of the album. It has a ton of plays, and I think it's a very, very solid song. The Aretha Franklin sample really works well, and JID comes in with a great flow. And then the beat, and I feel like the beat sounds really like just perfectly a 21 Savage beat. I feel like this is like a 21 Savage, this is a good 21 Savage song. This is the beat that would be on that. And then he puts in a solid verse. I don't really like the Baby Tate feature, but she's kind of on a weird part where it's like it's right between the beat switch, and so it kind of works. I mean, I don't think it works that well, but I feel like Baby Tate didn't really need to be on the song, but it's short and it's before the beat switch. And then after the beat switch, JID flows really well and it really works, and it just kind of all works together. Then we have Cody Blue 31, where I feel like JID's voice actually works really well with his singing. And I'm not really the biggest fan of the chorus, but it kind of works well in the context of the rest of the song. And the song kind of has like a great message, like, just keep going on, keep going on. And there's also a great vocal performance by I think it's a choir who's singing the swang on part. Either way, it's a pretty solid song. Next up, we got Brudinem. The beat is slow and kind of lets JID do his vocal performance more with like the repetition of Brudinem. And the beat kind of expands and does a little bit more during the second verse. And then they kind of both work well together. And then the Lil Durk song kind of also perfectly fits the song and the substance. Durk, I feel like it's kind of a perfect fit. And, especially with him losing King Von, it kind of works with the substance, at least, of the song. Then we got Cystinem. The song is a lot more chilled out, and the chorus is a little change in between the verses. And I feel like the beat also on this one is pretty good, and it has kind of an atmospheric feel while also complementing JID's voice. And just each verse kind of feels fresh and new and different from the other ones while keeping the similar subject matter. But there is like a nice 40-second outro, which I feel like isn't really needed on this song. But, it's not like it's bad. It just doesn't work that well in my opinion. Next up, we got Can't Make You Change. Ari Leno, I'm pretty sure. Her voice works really well, but I feel like this song kind of drags on for a lot, and there's not really a lot of substance. And I think it's like a 3-minute song, but I just feel like it doesn't really work that well because Ari Leno's voice is so just divine, and it doesn't really fit the song. But I still feel like the song isn't that bad. It's just a lot different, and it kind of carries on into the next one where it's like a little bit different than the rest of the songs, but then it kind of gives up. So it's not like a whole change in the album. It's just a change in like 1 or 2 songs, but it's not that bad of a song. It's just probably my least favorite on the whole song. The next one is Stars, which it kind of carries in with the little different style. And then, but JID kind of, it slows down, and then it switches to Yassine Bey. And I feel like the beat gets better, and his verse kind of sounds chopped and slowed, but it works, I feel like. And that's where the change goes back to the JID thing, because then with Just in Time on the next song, the Kenny Mason chorus, really solid. I really like Kenny Mason's contributions to this album, and the JID and the beat, it kind of just starts building, and with JID flowing on it, it just keeps on building and building, but there's not really a payoff, but it builds and then it resets, and that kind of happens. So it works. And then the Lil Wayne feature, really works. His voice perfectly fits the sound of the beat, and it fits the album as well. I'm not the biggest fan of his voice, but I feel like it also works, really well, even with his voice sounding a little weird. And then right after his verse, there's a stop for 1 or 2 seconds, and then JID has another verse, and it's so sick. I really like that part of the album. Then the next one is Money. I think the chorus on this one is pretty cool, and the first JID verse is pretty solid, and it works with the subject matter. It's it's very important to JID because he didn't really grow up with that much money, and the children singing about money, it kind of reflects his own personal longing for money when he was a child, which is really interesting to me, and I really appreciate that one. Next one up is Better Days. I really like the beat and the flow. JID carries over the first verse, and then the Jonta Austin feature, kind of works, and then the beat changes a little bit during the second verse, but it still works, and I feel like this is a pretty solid song. And then last up, we got Louder too. I don't really know how to say it, but JID comes in with a much faster verse. He's sped up the whole time. He's on 1.5 speed with a beat that kind of goes as fast as him. And then there's this little diamond, they're dropping diamonds outside. I don't know. It's really interesting. I really like this song. And then the Raven Lene, her chorus kind of sounds very lavish like that. I wish Ari Leno could have been on a song more like this, where it's more lavish and divine. But it works, and I like Raven Lene. And then the beat kind of slows down, and then the tempo changes a little bit, and I feel like JID still sounds good. And then Raven Lene has a little outro, which sounds really good, but they have a little organ in the background. I wish they would have played it up a lot more. I feel like organs are really underrated, musical instruments, and I feel like it really could have benefited in this situation. But either way, this is a really, really solid album. If you want to check out my 2007 review, should be up right now. And just, I really like this album. Probably not my album of the year, but definitely is very good, an amazing album. Really excited to see what JID does in his next couple of times. This probably isn't going to, put him into superstardom or whatever, but it is one that's going to be really critically acclaimed and just is a great album in general. I'm going to have to give this one an 8 out of 10. I really like this. I thought this was a really good album. Definitely a contender for the album of the year for some people. Probably not my album of the year, but definitely is in the top 5 or top 10.